Shocking safety concerns emerging in the Jeju Airline crash. South Korea, a nation in shock, mourning the loss of 179 lives in a tragic Jeju Air crash, as South Korea launches an emergency safety inspection of all airline operations. Flags fly at half-mast while the government, with U.S. investigators, begins an exhaustive audit of all Boeing 737-800 in domestic operation. President Choi Sang-mok, newly appointed just 2 days before the disaster, vows to overhaul the aviation safety system for a safer Republic of Korea. Amidst the grief, another Jeju Air jet faces a landing gear issue, forcing it to return to Gimpo Airport shortly after takeoff. Investigators target landing gear malfunction, bird strikes, and weather conditions as possible causes of the crash, which resulted in a devastating belly landing. The crash investigation reveals potential hydraulic failure and issues with the landing gear, as the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder are retrieved. Families of the victims face the painful process of identifying their loved ones, with bodies so badly damaged that officials need more time. Questions arise about a concrete wall at the end of the runway, unusually tall and possibly exacerbating the catastrophe when the jet hit it before exploding. The wall that shouldn't have been there. Investigators revealed that the concrete wall at the end of the runway was unusually tall and did not meet aviation safety standards. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, recommends that runway safety areas remain unobstructed to allow aircraft in distress to overrun safely. The wall's location directly violated these guidelines, raising concerns about whether proper oversight had been exercised during its construction. Warning signs ignored. Records show that prior incidents had occurred at the same airport, with pilots reporting insufficient runway length and unsafe obstacles near the runway's end. However, these warnings went unaddressed. Experts suggest that this lack of action demonstrates a systemic failure to prioritize safety, with airport authorities potentially ignoring red flags to save costs. Impact and explosion. A preventable tragedy. As the jet overran the runway, it struck the concrete wall, resulting in catastrophic damage to the aircraft's fuel tanks and an explosion. Aviation safety analysts argue that had the wall been replaced with a collapsible safety barrier or had the runway been extended, the crash and subsequent fatalities might have been averted. This has led to widespread criticism of the airport's safety practices. Criminal negligence allegations. Legal experts and victims' families have labeled the airport's failure to address the concrete wall as criminal negligence. They argue that the airport authorities knowingly endangered lives by disregarding safety protocols and recommendations. Lawsuits are now being filed, with demands for accountability and significant reforms to ensure such a tragedy never happens again. 2 flight attendants, miraculously rescued from the tail of the aircraft, are being treated for severe injuries in a Seoul hospital. Jeju Air's CEO takes full responsibility, offering financial aid to victims' families, while the airline faces a wave of cancellations and a tarnished reputation. An accident is never just one event. Experts emphasize that aviation accidents are rarely caused by a single factor but rather by a chain of events and latent failures that align to create a disaster. In the case of the Jeju Airline crash, the presence of the concrete wall is now seen as the final link in a long chain of overlooked hazards. Investigations are uncovering latent failures, such as inadequate runway design, ignored safety audits, and a lack of enforcement of ICAO standards. These systemic issues, compounded by decision-making gaps, are coming to light, revealing how multiple oversights collectively led to the catastrophe. Globe Airplane joined the aviation conversation with Takeoff Network. Discover the stories shaping the skies. From groundbreaking innovations to critical investigations like the Jeju Airline crash, Takeoff Network delivers insights that matter to aviation professionals, enthusiasts, and travelers alike.